I love the fact that you can open the doors. You can even remove them if you want to, but with students, I'm not doing that. I just love, I mean, my students fell in love with it too. They were just all into it. It's a lot neater, a lot cleaner, and it works really, really well. All right, so now let's go check out this bottom level. I put my girls on the bottom. Boys tend to smell a little more musky, and when the students are sitting at a level, like right here, that's near that, there they can tell you when those pads need to be changed. Oh, and that's another thing I want to mention, is that underneath these bottom, each level, I've got a odor trapping like puppy pad, so it makes it really easy to go ahead and change out the fabric. And I've just got the fabric binder clipped around. I'm not sure how much I like the binder clips. We'll have to see how they do well. Anyway, another great idea that I got, and I have to be careful about opening this one because my little ones are quick to get out. One got out today and we caught it real fast. Anyway, one thing I like about this is the use of this rope. I bought the longest one so we could stretch it across. Hey, Melvin. Melvin's a girl. Anyway, we got this rope to stretch across, and I love it. As soon as I hooked it up, they have been crawling all over it. They absolutely love that idea, so that was fun. They also been a little curious about the bird toy. We'll see. They may chew on it, they may play on it. We'll have to see, but it just adds some fun and color. I put their food for right now underneath, and we have to kind of hide it because these guys like their privacy when they eat. And then I always keep a tissue box around because, and they're in it right now, so I'm not going to move it. The OCD in me wants to put it against the wall. But no. There's one of the babies. Melvin and Penelope had a record litter this summer. Of course, we thought Melvin was a boy, and we thought, well, maybe Penelope just going to get pregnant. And then what you can see is that Melvin turned out to be a girl, and between the two of them, there were 29 babies. In fact, one of their litters was 17 babies, and typically rats will have a litter of about 12 to 14 babies. So 17 was crazy. They all fed. All but 2 survived. And we still have a dozen at home. We've sold some to pet stores, and we hopefully will sell the rest because we don't want to have a huge one. And there they go making a mess. One thing I'm going to buy today is my litter box. I had to retire the old one, and we have something makeshift for now. Nice thing about these flannel pads, it is really easy to clean. And Melvin, you're coming in for your close-up? Melvin? Melvin is a doll. Very, very sweet. Rats are really easy to care for if you just get in a routine and you take care of it. There's Penelope. She's jealous because she sees anything like that. She thinks it'll be food. So hello, Penelope. Come in for your close-up. Melvin, where are you going? Okay, I'm going to show the cage for now. Another feature about this cage I really like is that it's on wheels. I want to say that on the package it was like 118 pounds. If you're an Amazon Prime customer, you can get this ordered with free shipping. You'll have to pay no shipping at all. Walmart.com had this cage, I think, for $234, maybe $244, and of course they didn't have free shipping. So I would definitely recommend getting it through Amazon, especially if you're an Amazon Prime customer. And then if you look at the bottom, I've got places. I probably will change this to a plastic bin right here and put those in there to keep anything from getting on them. But, you know, I've got places where I can put their food. I've got wet wipes to clean them with, some seed and so on. And I'll get that a little more organized. But this was just our first day setting it up. So you can see how massive it is. Get an idea of like my bulletin board. It's a typical size bulletin board. And you can see how wide the cage is. If you look at other videos about the cage, a couple of things that I can tell you is some of them complained about how to put it together. For the most part, it was very easy. I did get frustrated at one point because I realized I had put something in incorrectly and I had to undo it. And the difficult part was the fact that you have to take a rubber mallet and make your connections secure. And so I had to kind of work to get my connections unsecured. There are only 8 screws in this entire thing, and they're all at the base. You can see down here, right here and here, and on the other side of this well. And then the top, I'm just going to lift up a little bit so you can see what we're looking at. You got these pegs right here. Can you see those? and these pegs right here, and that makes it so easy. Everything was like that with these pegs and holes, and you just pop it into place. And if it needed a little help seating it, you could use a rubber mallet, which I borrowed my husband's from home, and use a rubber mallet to get it into place. They also have these tabs that go in. Let's see if I can give you a view of them. I'll look for Mickey's cage. Right here on the top corner, you can see there's a tab right here. So when you're hammering it down, make sure that you line these up first. It really helps to do a left side and then a right side, or vice versa. Get that in there first, because you don't want to hammer it down and then bend the lower section down trying to put these in. Okay. This one's not too impressive. They had some little clips that you screw in and flip up. This one went in just fine, but the other one, it's kind of hard to see. It's behind the rat cage. It's super loose because the hole was over drilled or something, and so it's not staying. But it would really, I mean, I'd have to have Hercules in here, for a rat named Hercules, I guess, to lift that up. It's not going to happen. So anyway, my first look at this, fantastic. I'll maybe post an update in the weeks ahead just to see if the cage is living up to its potential. But I am extremely pleased. It's nice and neat, and especially being on casters and the brakes are in the front, it makes it really easy for me to go ahead and do what I got to do to move it around the classroom if I need to move it, because we're doing a lab, because it is science classroom. And these are pets, so you don't ever have to worry about us dissecting them. And we also may have to roll it because our school is building right now, and I'll be in a new classroom next year, so this will make it very helpful. If I were to take this baby home, I'd have to find somebody with a truck or a U-Haul, because it's easy to wheel, but this sucker is heavy. Thankfully, maintenance came and helped me get it from my car, the box in the car, to bring it to my classroom. But anyway, they look very, very happy, very content, and you can just see them enjoying it, checking it out and examining their space and just really enjoying it. So I'm pleased, and I highly recommend this cage to anybody who's considering it. And don't forget, buy it on Amazon and use your Amazon Prime, and you'll get it for $218.
Hey everyone, it's me, Peachy Rat Paradise, and today's video is good rat cages. I will also be doing bad rat cages, but in another video. In this video,
Beacons are recharging. The Zerg are growing agitated. Attain control of those beacons. We don't want to face angry Zerg. Seems we have fewer Zerg to deal with than our enemy. That's some small comfort at least.
There's more than one way to build a computer, but looking at forums, Reddit, comment sections, our forums or others, overclockers, things like that, you might not know that, especially if you're a newcomer. And this is part of the PC building community that really drives me crazy. It's this attitude of elitism, as if there's only one way to do it. Certainly that's not unique to our community. I'm sure every hobby and profession has this. I'm sure music has it. I'm sure cars have it. But the idea that there's one way to do it, there's a need to appear to be the smartest person on the internet when communicating with a newcomer how to build something, and normally that involves arguing with everyone else in the thread to make sure that the newcomer understands you are in fact the alpha PC builder. And there's plenty of other problems too. The three main ones left after that would be just there's no respect for the subjective side of PC building, which coming from our channel, that's saying a lot. This idea that, again, one way to do it, your parts, it doesn't matter what you think about them, doesn't matter your personal preferences, they are wrong, and you should feel bad for choosing them, even if you've already built the system and are just posting photos to share it. That, by the way, is probably the least effective time to share criticism, but this, I guess, is a continuation of the discussion we did on why are NVIDIA and AMD so polarizing. It's not the same topic, but it's the same feel, and that's, I think for Sundays from now on, we might start pushing these types of videos where it's more of an industry look to step back from the reviews and things like that. I think the main thing I wanted to address here today is that if you're new to building computers, don't get discouraged by comments that may either be infighting between commenters who are trying to help you on some support thread, or comments that are just really heavily criticizing your own build choices. The things to look out for, of course, compatibility. If it's not compatible, yeah, you should listen to them. Performance and price, always worth looking at, but the thing is, it's not always just about price, and it's not always just about, well, you picked these parts for $1,500 and I did it better because I found the same effective performing build for $1,400. So mine's better, you should build mine. That's not really always how it works, right? There's this idea of the user experience and what are they doing with that machine. They may not have detailed all of it in the post. A lot of the times, new posters don't understand that they should say things like, I'm planning to use this for rendering. I'm planning to use this for only AAA games with the highest graphics. Planning to use this only for indie games. That doesn't always get disclosed. So probably the best first answer is, what are you using the computer for? Not, your build is bad, here's a better one, without any context for why. And I think a couple things here. I pulled out some comments. I guess we'll just go through those to get us started because it's the easiest way to show the thing that I'm talking about. Let's start with a pretty tame comment. This is a new builder named Piggynator on Build a PC. Didn't give a whole lot of info, gave a list of parts and asked if it looks okay. And the response is, one of the main responses is, you should consider a small SSD. Not a bad thing to consider. They ask, the OP asks, okay, what size do you recommend? Mad Scientist says 64 gigabyte absolute minimum, 120 to 240 if you can swing it. Okay, so not all that useful of an answer because it's basically saying any size under 512 or whatever, but it's at least a starting point because now we know, well, you shouldn't buy 32. If you're the new builder, that's kind of what your thinking is. The next reply is, I would honestly consider 250 gigabyte to be the minimum these days. Okay, so not a bad reply. Reply to that. That would be standard, not minimum. Very definitive with that period there too. And that's kind of what I'm talking about as a more tame example, because again, this is arguing over really stupid semantics at this point. Standard, not minimum. Provide something useful, right? Like, if you're gonna suggest 250 gigabytes as a standard or a minimum or whatever, say why. You say something like, well, your OS tends, after bloat and log files and hibernate files and all these things, tends to take something like 30 gigabytes, maybe with some core applications installed. So you definitely want at least that much, but then maybe you want to leave some room for core applications, Adobe Photoshop, things like that, or your really important media files, or just because it sucks to run out of space. Something like that would be a lot more useful. Then you look at the next reply, I disagree. Okay, well, that's really helpful, thank you. Then you are out of touch. You are. Okay, so at this point it looks like we're just kidding around, but this is really not not useful to anyone. There's no status, there's no anything behind the suggestions. It's just kind of, I don't know. But the next one, this is someone who's asking, please help me convince me stubborn family to build a PC instead of buying something. This is a whole different discussion on why pre-builds actually do have value, despite kind of this elitism that DIY is the only way to do it. That's definitely not true. And as someone who's built a lot of systems for other people, and I'm sure many of you have done the same, I understand why. If I'm building a system for a friend, as many people in this thread point out, I will now be on the line for everything bad ever that ever happens to that computer. And that means I've got to provide free tech support unless we have some kind of agreement. And so there's a reason to buy pre-built, but that's a different topic. So one of the replies here is, if they're going to view a computer as an appliance, they're going to buy pre-built. You wouldn't build a TV or a washing machine, would you? That's actually a really good analogy. I like that analogy. The reply to that, to be fair, on time, building takes a few hours at most, and programs don't take more than a day. If you can't wait that long, you're very impatient. So again, I'm not really cherry picking comments. There's hundreds or if not thousands of these readily available every day on every forum, YouTube channel, everything. Very readily available, not helpful at all. And this one, this falls under my category of just really having no respect for